Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's me, Cameron, and it is Sabbath, so I wanted to make a short video, but it's also the 4th of July, and that's why I wanted to make a video. Just having some thoughts and reflections today. I haven't been doing much. I've actually just woke up from a nap, and we'll be watching fireworks and doing other stuff later. So let me get started with just a short reflection on Scripture. So this is Deuteronomy 30. This is basically the last few chapters of Torah. And this is the presentation of basically the blessing and obedience and the curse and disobedience. So I'm going to start here in verse 15. So this is after sort of God calls as a witness heaven and earth. Like, if you follow the commands, you will receive many great things. And then the curse is, if you don't follow it, you're going to have many terrible things happen to you. And that's Deuteronomy 28 for those counting. So this is the CJB, Deuteronomy 30, verse 15. Look, I am presenting you today on one hand life and good, and on the other death and evil. I'm ordering you today to love Adonai your God, to follow his ways, to obey his mitzvot, that's essentially his law, regulations, and rulings. For if you do, you will live and increase your numbers, and Adonai your God will bless you in the land you are entering in order to take possession of it. But if your hearts turn away, you refuse to listen to them, if you are drawn to prostrate yourself before other gods and serve them, I am announcing to you today that you will certainly perish. You will not live long in the land you are crossing the Jordan to enter and possess. I call on heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have presented you with life and death, the blessing and the curse. Therefore choose life, so that you will live, you and your descendants, loving Adonai your God, paying attention to what he says, and clinging to him. For this is the purpose of your life. This says that is the purpose of your life. On this depends the length of time you will enter the land Adonai swore he would give to your ancestors, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And so after this in Torah, Moses goes up to the mountain and he looks at the land which he was promised to deliver the people Israel to, and he dies there. And so Torah ends gazing over the land yet to take it. You sometimes ask, why does Torah not end with Yeshua, crossing the land and taking it? And there is real good reason for why it is. There is good reason why the mitzvot, the regulation, the law, ends with Moses dying. And that, of course, is because Torah is given to a sojourning people. Torah is to people that have not yet entered the land. Just as Israel was sojourning in Egypt, his people still have yet to enter and live in the land. And so, for all of us who cling close to God and follow him, us too are sojourning. We're living in a land that's not our own. And I don't care who you say it is. If you cling to God, he has a land for you, set apart for you. And so, we live in America. You might be native to America. You might be Native American, like many of my friends. But you're still sojourning in a land that's not your own. If you call on God, and it's specifically in Deuteronomy 28, it's up here. If one of yours was scattered to the far end of the sky, Adonai will gather you even from there, and he will go and get you. So there's a great scattering of the people of Israel over the world. But if you are obedient, God remembers his covenants, and he will gather you from across the world, and he will bring you back. So I think it's just important to keep in mind that Torah is given to a bunch of sojourners. And we too are sojourners living in a land not our own. And that specifically, I would say, is the United States of America. Now, something I noticed today that I wanted to talk about is there are essentially two different versions of America. And I noticed this while scrolling through social media today, but I'm probably going to be getting off it pretty soon. All right, one version of America is that inherently this nation is terrible, that injustice is amok, that people that are minorities are oppressed, that it lacks a basic standard of love and equality. And this is the critical version of America, that there are a lot of shortcomings of America, and you really have to focus on those. So I guess in some way it's sort of like a pessimist form of America. And then there is another version of America, and that is America was founded on strong principles of liberty. That, yes, it did not have great history with people, and some people have been, hurt. But overall, over the course of time, America has overcome its challenges and its problems. And essentially, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. This is a real kind of inheritance talk, that the people that built the country we live in today put a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And to sort of, I guess that sort of wraps up the second kind of America, is that America is a country that has been built, and sure, things need to change, but we are essentially standing on the shoulders of giants. And so those are the two Americas. And the thing about those two different worldviews is that they can't really coincide with one another. There is the one that America is terrible in all its ways, right? And it's unfixable. You just have to kind of tear it all down. And then there's the other that is, I think, a more optimistic view, is that founding principles of this country and other things, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, those sorts of things, are things that many great Americans and our ancestors have strived for. I mean, I'm living in a house that I didn't build. Maybe my landlord did, or before that. In a town that I did not found. I am living with roads that I did not pave, or crops that I did not plant. And so it's such an incredibly fragile system that many great men before me, I don't think myself that great, have built and essentially given to their progeny, so that they could enjoy the fruits of their labor, essentially planting the tree that you don't sit in the shade of. And that's actually a very biblical view of inheritance, is to be able to give your children and your children's children something that you will never yourself have. And that's actually a very, I think, Torah view of life. And I think the people that have lived in America, regardless of what problems or things they face, they want to give something to the next generation. And so that first cynical sort of view of America doesn't really want to give something to their posterity. They don't want to give anything to their children because they don't see it as inherently something worth any value. And the second America, the one I would, of course, prescribe to, is a bunch of people that actually do want to build, and give something to their kids. And hopefully, they're not exactly selfish in all their ways, that they want to essentially make a better place for the people that are growing up. And so that's just something I noticed today. And it's something I noticed because I definitely recognize I'm a sojourner in this land. That Abba has a land for us, that I'm waiting for Messiah to come back and take us there. But even more than that, like, I definitely respect everything that my parents and grandparents have built and given me. I mean, my sister has served in the military, her husband as well. My father has served in the military. And even before that, just my whole family has put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into essentially making for what I have today. So this is a certain gratitude, I suppose. And I suppose viewing America in that second view is a lot more, there's a lot more gratitude in it. And in that first view, there's a lot more cynicism in it. And I guess what I'm seeing is that those two, again, worldviews, they don't overlap, nor can they. So that was this short video. It's already went 11 minutes. I thought it was going to be a lot less. Just my thoughts on 4th of July. And I don't want to go further because it is Sabbath, and I don't want to work too hard. But coming this week, I will be discussing tomorrow sort of grand view of ethnicity. As you can see, sort of in my notes that I had pulled up, I've been really researching a lot on it and have something to say. So sometime this week, you will see my grand view on ethnicity and critique of InterVarsity. But above all, shalom and bless to all you who have watched.